The following is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about them Cowboys? Yeah, go Cowboys!
This is Mick Shots, streaming live on DallasCowboys.com and the official Dallas Cowboys app. Now, here are Bill Jones, Savannah Humoller, Everson Walls, and Mickey Spagnola.
Well, if it's not one thing, it's another. And this is another edition of Mick Shots. We are right in the middle of Eagles Week. And it's the cleanest show possible. Let's just put it that way. Most sanitized show possible.
We got done Lysol'd.
To pull back the curtain here, Everson, a minute and 15 seconds before we get on the air, sneezed.
And it was a big sneeze.
It was such a sneeze.
Shocked everybody.
That I had my headsets on. I felt like my ears got wet from the sneeze. So I was wiping off my ears, and so he reaches down into the cabinet,
pulls out glass cleaner first.
Pulls out
glass cleaner,
Lysol or something, and sprayed me with it before we started the show.
I sneezed on you, Bill. I'm so sorry, sir.
So we're good to go.
Yeah, we are good to go.
The whole room is ready.
That's exactly right. And there is breaking news right off the top as we get started here. And Mickey, would you like to break the news to everyone?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I haven't already heard it.
I was going to say, pull out the Gilda Radner. It's always something. And the Cowboys found out, or actually head coach Mike McCarthy found out this morning when he walked into the building at probably around 5:30, 6 in the morning, that he wasn't feeling well, and went to see the Cowboys trainer Jim Maurer. And they decided that get to the doctor, and they diagnosed him with acute appendicitis.
And if you've ever had acute appendicitis, it wasn't that he wasn't feeling well. There was something that was very painful.
Sounds like Bill's been through this.
You have to?
Right. Oh, yeah. Have you?
No, but
I still got mine.
Sunday night games, my first game with the Giants was against Philadelphia. Oh, it's crazy. And Parcels had surgery that morning, and
for appendicitis.
And he still came and coached.
Oh, I'm sure he
really
that evening.
Wow.
Yeah, he looked like crap. He looked like crap. You could tell he was not in a good mood that entire.
You know
game.
what happened to me when I had appendicitis?
Yeah.
I was on the road trip. I was broadcasting Ranger games, and it was in St. Petersburg, Florida. I came back from a morning jog and happened to see Pudge Rodriguez in the elevator, and he said to me, "You're not looking good."
Were you feeling as bad as you
No,
were?
I wasn't feeling bad at that point. And then
Okay.
I got to my room, and I started having severe pain, but it was located up like in my sternum, whatever, and it didn't go away. And so I went to the hospital, and because I thought I was having a heart attack or something, and so I go to the hospital. And they did a stress test. They did all this stuff. It was because that's what the Rangers trainer said. Go to the hospital. Tell them you're having chest pains. They'll get you right in.
Yeah.
So they got me right in. It may have been the next day. They finally figured out it's my appendix.
You were in pain for the
yes.
entire
I did
day.
a stress test and my appendix had burst.
Oh,
by the time I got in
Oh,
there.
wow.
So I wound up spending a week in the hospital. And 2 weeks before I was able to go back to work, and it was bad. So I'm sitting there going, yeah, okay. If they get it early enough, if you don't go to the hospital and say you got chest pains and
that's the
and they get it early enough,
yeah.
you can be back at practice tomorrow.
Right.
or in the case of Parcells,
if you have chest pains,
Yeah.
then you're directing them in the wrong area, though.
That's right.
And that's what took them so long to find it.
That's right. Yeah.
But because yours burst, you probably had a little bit longer of a
Yes, I had an
recovery
infection,
time.
and then it was an infection, and then I spent a week in the hospital in St.
So
Petersburg.
you Jimmy Smith.
Yeah,
Remember
basically.
Jimmy Smith,
Yeah.
the Cowboys wide receiver? His bursted.
Yep.
And they were treating him for I don't know what, but his appendix burst, and he basically, I think,
Been there, done
missed
that.
the rest of the season.
Damn. So yours burst while they were misdiagnosing?
Basically, I guess. I don't know when it burst, but it burst.
That's crazy.
Well, I found out the how they test you for it, because when I had like really bad side pains, and I went to the emergency place across the street here, and they started checking all this stuff, and she's feeling around, and I'm going, is this my appendix? Because it was kind of on that side, and she pressed really hard where your appendix is, and she goes, no, it's not your appendix, because you would have jumped out of the bed after
Right.
I pushed that hard, and it ended up being a kidney stone.
Well, it's a thing that you don't even really need, right?
No.
Apparently
That's
not.
like,
Crazy.
why is it there?
Right. That's crazy. That and a kidney, obviously. You
So-
don't, you
yeah,
don't need both
right.
kidneys either, so that's weird.
So anyway, he's slated for surgery, McCarthy, this afternoon, and should be released in the evening. And
So which means it's a scope.
so basically, yeah. And so Dan Quinn stepped in for the press conference today and basically said that McCarthy expects to be good to go for the game, and I'm paraphrasing here, but I think his quote was, "Do you think this Irishman's going to miss this game?" And so they'll carry on without him for maybe a day, 2 days at the most, and I bet he's back.
Well, they're not going to let you stay in the hospital long.
No,
They try to
you're
get you out
exactly
of that
right.
hospital real fast.
Insurance don't want you sleeping
They
in
do
the
not
hospital,
want
right?
you having fun. Don't rest in the hospital. Rest at home.
So anyway,
Yeah,
go
Dan
ahead.
Quinn even said he'll probably be calling later tonight or watching tape or adding into whatever they're doing today in practice. So.
Well, and that's one of the significant things about this. This is the install day. I mean, when the players get back today, now obviously Dak has been at it probably, the last couple of days for sure. But for when you're the offensive coordinator or the play caller, in this case, Brian Schottenheimer, the offensive coordinator, you're heavily involved in the install today. And
But everything's been planned out already.
Right.
So now Brian Schottenheimer just kind of runs the offensive practice.
Right.
What you worry about is just being ready to call plays on Sunday. And I was getting ready to ask you, did you ever have a coach miss a game or miss
Yeah.
a practice?
Yeah.
So you just told
He
us.
didn't miss anything.
Yeah.
He did not.
What about
miss it.
Tom? Did Tom ever get sick and
Come
miss
on,
any?
it's Tom. Never get sick. Give me a break.
Never missed a
Tom,
practice.
even
or
when they were
anything?
trying to shoot at him, Tom wasn't going to miss a game. That's Tom, man. They don't make him like that anymore.
So anyway, and so this is kind of ironic, but I was going to come in today. I did a little bit of research on the longest active winning streaks in the NFL right now, and it's basically 4 straight. It's the Cowboys, Indianapolis, and San Francisco.
San Francisco, yeah.
Active, right? And I was thinking, winning streaks in the NFL, so many factors cause whatever, right? It's like there's always something. It might be playing on the road. It might be weather. It might be injuries. I didn't think of it might be the head coach getting an appendicitis attack, right? But it seems like always something. The longest one this year, winning streak, was 6 games by Kansas City. And then Denver, and then there were 6 teams, including Philadelphia twice, with 5-game winning streaks. And now the longest active is the Cowboys with 4. And Bill, when we were talking about after the loss to the Eagles the first time, it's like, okay, they got to win 4 straight. And Bill said, well, they got to win 5 straight.
Right.
So think about it. Even if they win 5 straight, they're not out of the woods,
Nope, they're
right?
not. And I kept following up with Bill, saying that it's going to be down the stretch all the way.
So think about it. What everybody's asking is, okay, beat the Eagles and then win your next, 4 games? 9 straight? 12 straight?
It's tough.
and
so-
you still might have to go on the road if you make the championship game.
Right. So, it's a tough stretch for them. After having won this many games, can you win another one? 5 straight, right? And then, well, what about the next two that we talked about that are on the road? So, yeah, the odds are not with you winning that many straight in this game. And then this happened today, and I'm going, maybe I was clairvoyant, you know?
You know what? And one of the reasons I said 5 straight, besides the fact that Philadelphia happened to be the 5th straight, is I had done this research before in previous seasons. When the Cowboys have won Super Bowls, they've always had a stretch during the season where they've won at least 5 straight games, it seems like.
Right.
And I was just now going back through it. The first time they won the Super Bowl in '71, it was 10 in a row to win the Super Bowl. That included the Super Bowl game. In '77, they started the season with 4, 5, 6, 7. They were what, 7 or 8 in a row to start the season there. 92, 93. I did see it in 95. I think it was 4 games. They had 2 or 3 4-game win streaks, but they had a 5-game win streak, which included the Super Bowl that year.
And even go to 91 when they finished the season on a 5-game winning
right.
streak to
Yeah.
get into the playoffs. And I could always remember Tom Landry saying, I want my team streaking into the playoffs. You don't want to go in limping and having losses. And this was before teams qualified and then the last game of the season they would blow off.
Right.
I don't think there was any games blown off in the 60s, 70s, and 80s.
What would you think? Which team would you think was Jimmy's best team?
92.
Did they have a streak going in '92?
Actually, it might have been 93.
It probably was 93. I just immediately
think
said
about
92.
It, they lost the first 2, then they won
all the way.
The next 7, and then they lost the 2 Sunday Thanksgiving, and he basically told them we got to win the last however many games, 5 games in a row, to get home field advantage. And remember, they didn't win the last one until overtime against the Giants to just win the division.
Here's what happened in '93. In '93, and I spoke too soon. '93 was their better team.
Okay,
don't you think?
Yes.
7. Okay, they went to 0-2 without Emmett, and then 7 in a row.
Did 7. Okay.
And then Thanksgiving week, they lost that game at Atlanta, 27-14, and then the Leon Lett game on Thanksgiving Day against Miami,
in the
16-14.
That's not fair.
And then,
that is not cool. You know, he just like casually threw him under the bus, man. Go ahead, finish up.
And the
man.
Cowboys lost that game in '81. Everson Walls.
Right, the Everson Walls game in '81.
There was
Stop us from going to the Super Bowl.
It wasn't the catch. It was the Everson Walls game.
Yeah, exactly.
So it was 5 straight to end the regular season, and then 3 in a row. So it was basically they ended with an 8-game win streak to win the Super Bowl.
And if he was a jockey, he went to the whip over those last 5 games.
Yeah.
And I remember Daryl Johnson telling me after that whole streak and the Super Bowl, he said, Jimmy drove us as hard as anybody could imagine, and I don't know if he could ever do that again. And when he told me that, it was like, because he pulled out all the tricks, right, to drive him, and then he stepped away, basically, right? His 5 years were up, and him and Jerry had the little deal. But again, I think there was some doubt on, he coached us so hard, how's he going to come back and do it again, right?
Well, I wonder, do they get too tired? Winning, trying to win you keep the streak going during the regular season, and then what you got left for the playoffs. That's kind of what you worry about a little bit with any team. And with that team, did they end up with home field advantage in '93?
Yes, but only because they won the division and then ended up with a 12 and 12.
Well, hell,
12
in '92,
They were 12 and
I
4.
guess it was '92. They went to San Fran and won.
Yes, the
Right.
the NFC title game.
Yeah.
Which is 92
That's
was my
tough win,
favorite.
y'all.
In 92 they went 13-3 in the regular season.
Yeah, it's hard to say which one is better.
Right. But they were better than '95.
Yes,
Those 2 years,
Yes.
I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, so well, what happened in '81? Did you guys
That's a good
finish
question.
with
Good question.
a winning streak at the end of the season?
81. It was 4 straight to start the season, then 2 losses, St. Louis and San Francisco, 2 road losses, and then 4 straight, then a loss at Detroit, 4 straight, then a loss to end the season in overtime at the Giants. And then,
that's right.
See, that's why you didn't win the Super Bowl. It had nothing to do with the catch. You didn't have a 5-game win streak. You only had 4-game win streaks that year.
But if was San Fran able to? I mean, what they already ahead of us, could we have overcome?
12. Okay, so
because we lost the tiebreaker.
Yeah, you did.
Right. I don't think we winning.
They ended up.
You know
you
what?
lost at
I
San
remember
Francisco,
that.
45-14.
The Giants game didn't mean anything. The Giants game meant nothing to us, if I recall.
That was
because they already had.
And I think we were mad because we went into overtime. Like, come on, man, can we get out of here? It's an overtime, and it didn't mean anything to us.
Right.
I remember that.
And then the next week, you took on Doug Williams in Tampa Bay, and it was 38-0.
Killed him. Dennis Thurman's game. Yeah. Pick 6.
How many playoffs games did they have to win to get to the NFC
Just that
title?
one.
Just one, and then you're in.
Yeah, we couldn't have. That last game against the Giants didn't mean anything.
Yeah. So that would have been a 5-game win streak. There you go. We just rewrote history. All right. So that is the news of the day right now. And we've got a football team on a football field that Mickey has.
Without their football coach.
That's right. Yep. And we'll talk about that when we come back here on Mick Shots in a moment.
I'm Dak Prescott, quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys.
And they snap it to Prescott, who looks right. It's not there. He escapes left. He'll run for a first down.
Just like football, when it comes to crypto, it's important to have a team you can trust. With blockchain.com, I know I'm in good hands. Since 2011, they've been trusted by millions around the world to buy, sell, and trade cryptocurrency.
Prescott's going to run this himself. Run it up the middle, and he scores.
Whether you're new to crypto or an active trader, they've got you covered. What are you waiting for? Get started at blockchain.com.
You know that sound anywhere. It's the crisp crunch of that first nacho chip. With its perfect cheese to sour cream ratio sitting atop a layer of delicious beans, it's a sip away from perfection. That's what we're looking for. Add a delicious, refreshing Pepsi and we've achieved absolute nacho nirvana. Because while you can pile those nachos high with every spicy, cheesy, savory topping, there's no topping a cool Pepsi finish. Nachos, better with Pepsi. That's what I like.
The Medal of Honor is our country's highest military award for valor in combat. More than 40 million individuals have served in the armed forces since the Civil War. Fewer than 4,000 have received the Medal of Honor. The National Medal of Honor Museum will be a place to preserve these legacies and inspire America. It's being built right next door to the Dallas Cowboys in Texas. Help us honor our country's greatest heroes. Learn more and get involved at mohmuseum.org.
Cowboys football and Miller Lite. What a pairing. Can cracks at kickoff. Tailgates going way past postgame. Sunday night overtimes followed by Monday morning swagger. Brisket in the smoker. Miller Lite in the cooler. America's team playing America's greatest sport. Miller Lite, the only beer of the Dallas Cowboys. Dallas Cowboys football tastes like Miller time. Celebrate responsibly. 2023 Miller Brewing Company, Fort Worth, Texas.
Back to Mick Shots.
K-Post Roofing and Waterproofing, the official roofer of the Dallas Cowboys.
Mm-hmm. All right, here on a Wednesday at the Star, news-filled Wednesday, and Mickey's got a legal pad filled with items he wants to get to.
Well, the last one is they made a little roster adjustment today. Sean McEwen was placed on injured reserve, and Peyton Hendershot was activated off of IR to the 53-man roster. And Matt Waletzko opened up his 21-day window to begin practicing. He is on IR return. So they made a little roster adjustment today before the practice.
And Zach Ertz is not signed with Philadelphia.
He has?
He is not.
Oh, he's not.
There's a lot of speculation that.
Well, you know what the new speculation?
Right back, huh?
Yeah.
The new speculation is Ndamukong Suh. They're thinking about signing him. And he hasn't played all year.
They don't have enough big defensive tackles on their defense that haven't drafted
Well,
two in the first round out of Georgia the last couple of years.
What were the scores of their last two games? Because I thought I read something that they've given up like 76 points in the
Well,
last
they gave up
games.
42
Right,
to those
so
San
that's kinda
Francisco
easy to-
49ers, and they gave up 34 to the Buffalo Bills.
How much to us?
Is that 76?
That would be 76.
How much to us?
And
No, I meant the last two games.
Right.
And it was the Cowboy game up there was 28-23.
23.
Okay.
So it's almost like they're trying to
Should
pick
have
up.
been 2 more touchdowns.
Yeah, right. Or two and a 2-point, one and a 2-point conversion. Yeah, they're just picking up everybody. But again, somebody said, "Well, how do they have the cap space?" Well, you only got to pay the guy for 5 games. So when they said they signed Leonard to a 1-year deal, well, it's a 5-game.
Okay, let me ask you this about Shaq Leonard. Because I was doing a podcast with a guy in Philadelphia this morning, and we were talking about Shaq Leonard. And I'll tell you how I answered this question after you tell me how you would answer it. Where does Shaq Leonard fit in right now on this Cowboys team? Like, there's speculation that, okay, in Philadelphia, with what they have going on at linebacker right now, Nick Morrow and Christian Ellis were their 2 linebackers in the game against San Francisco last week. We saw how that went. That he would be able to step on the field and pretty much get snaps immediately. Okay, how do you think, if he had signed with Dallas, what do you think the scenario would have been as far as how many snaps he gets on defense this week and in the next couple of weeks after that?
Well, I was told it would be more of a depth move, and that it would be spotted on maybe how the offense, what kind of formation they're in. That if he was
in
on
sub
the
packages,
sub packages, exactly.
I agree.
I agree, and that's how I answered it. I said, they've got the Cowboys have Damone Clark and Marquise Bell, who has been playing as well as anybody on the defense, it seems like, all season. And that's basically the way I put it. It's a depth move. It's a move where if you had an injury at your linebacking core, okay, you got Rashaan Evans, who's had a hard time getting on the field. He had 3 snaps last week. I think he had 14, his most number of snaps he's had in a game. That was when Bell was nursing something. But if you lost one of those guys,
then Micah Parsons a full-time linebacker.
Yeah. But if Shaq Leonard's on the team, that gives you, it fortifies the position.
Right, and
it does, yeah.
You know what? If they were honest, they probably explained it to him that way.
That's right. And so when we're talking about, he picked Philadelphia because he thinks Philadelphia has a better chance to win the Super Bowl.
No.
He's got a better chance to get on the now he may think that. He may think that. But even if you look at both teams have equal chance to win the Super Bowl, okay, the better opportunity for him to get snaps appears to be in Philadelphia than here.
And he needs to reestablish himself because
something was going on in Indianapolis.
From what I heard, he wasn't playing as well as he had been, and they had reduced his snaps, and he didn't like it, and he was starting to become vocal, and they basically were thinking, okay, we need to cut this right now. We need to cut ties. Probably not going to be here next year because his cap hit was so high. And so they decided, even though they're in the playoff race, that they needed to move forward and not disrupt the locker room.
He must have really been disruptive because he's accustomed to speaking out. He's one of the leaders of the team.
Right.
And you would think that he'd get a little bit more respect from the
let's
Colts
put it this way. What if Everson Walls was in that position?
Just thinking this.
Okay. What if it was a situation where Everson Walls at 1989, okay?
Yeah, I think I know where you're going here.
Okay. Now, you continued to start, right? Okay, you didn't. Okay.
But there weren't that many games. There weren't that many games left, was there?
Yeah, we had like 7 games left.
Yeah.
Still?
It was about the same point. It was in November, wasn't it?
I remember saying we're 1-8.
Okay.
We're 1-8. Why are you worried about people on the field? We're 1-8.
Right.
Yeah.
You said
we're not going to the playoffs. We're 1-8.
1, 2,
and that's the line that he
3,
never can forget. He can never forget that line.
Yeah, Everson was vocal about that.
Right.
Exactly.
You had 6
1 and
games.
8.
You had
But at
6
the same time,
6 games
we were
left.
1 and 8. They are not. They are in the hunt. We
Right.
were not. We're
So,
not going to
Actually,
the
you know
playoffs.
what I was going to ask? Because he showed up for the next game at the stadium. He was sitting in a suite, and the
As a
cameras
spectator.
For the Colts.
Yeah,
Yes.
after he was released.
and the cameras caught him, and he got a standing ovation. So I was going to ask, do you think if you showed up, you would have got a standing ovation at Texas
I
Stadium?
probably would have gotten booed.
Yeah.
I probably would have gotten booed.
So it just occurred to me, why weren't you released?
Why what?
Why weren't you released after why didn't they do to you what Indianapolis did with Shaq
Nobody
Leonard?
wanted anyone from a 1 and 18. It's just that simple. No one wanted anyone, and they weren't really dealing players that freely back then in 1980.
Or releasing players.
Yeah, that wasn't something that was.
It's not a trade. You're past the trade deadline, and
yeah.
so they would be releasing you.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, and at the same time, he probably felt that he might still need us to finish out the season. They didn't have that many players.
How about this? What if you caught on with the team and won the Super Bowl that year?
That year?
Uh-huh.
That would have been true.
You know what?
I don't know.
Let's let him sit here.
I don't. Well, that did work out well for me because it gave me a chance to really look around and see where I want to go.
So did you have?
And I used those.
Did you have
that time.
guaranteed money? Well, what about your annuity?
It was like this. After 8 games, they don't have to pay you a damn thing. So that's why all the moves were always made at midseason.
Okay.
Because they would get rid of you if they were gonna cut you before those last 8 games, because then they don't have to pay you for the last 8 games.
So, but after you were benched, you bit your tongue.
I was just special teams.
But you
helping out,
were not. And as far as being a locker room guy, you were
silenced.
You kept your mouth shut.
I was silenced.
Okay.
Well, nobody wanted. All those guys were young, and they were like, "Hey, man, be quiet, man, because you're getting all of us in trouble."
Right.
And that's basically what it was all about. So
Right.
you got, why just blow up the spot?
Right.
I wasn't going to do
Right.
that. Yeah.
But see, I think
couldn't wait
that's
to do
where
that
they
when I
may,
came back
like
and
in
kicked their ass.
Indianapolis with Shaq Leonard, they may have been thinking, well, he starts. You don't want malcontents in your locker
That's
room.
right. And they showed his arrogance. I guess they saw his arrogance. The fact that he showed up at the game and he gets to stand.
And then would it have been a problem if he were to be here and there's the rotations with who we already have? Mm-hmm. And it's not that big of a necessity.
The Cowboys
here.
have a really good chemistry in that locker room right now, and so that's what, as you're making a decision on someone like that, you have to factor that in. Okay, if this guy who we don't really know what he's all about on a team in a locker room, and he's not getting the snaps that.
I know that
he
Parcels asked a lot of questions from a lot of people before he decided to sign me.
Yeah.
And even when I was on the team, he still was asking questions on, do they think how well do they think I will fit in during the season? And I didn't know that until after I retired years later.
Much like what the Cowboys, I'm sure, did with like T.Y. Hilton last year. They want to make sure that he's and he had a great reputation as a professional guy and whatever. But if you're not getting your snaps that you feel like you should be getting, then
you got to take a chance sometimes, though, Bill.
Right.
I mean, a guy like Shaq Leonard, he wouldn't act the same. You would think that he wouldn't act the same way here as he acted in Indy. And like with me, I didn't act the same way in New York that I did in Dallas because the locker room was totally different. It wasn't fractured at all.
See, having said all that about Shaq Leonard, in this defense, the way Dan Quinn employs with the hybrid players and stuff, they would have figured out a way to get him on.
I think he would have been a great addition.
I think he would have made. I agree, but it's not like he wouldn't have to have 45 or 50 snaps even to make an impact. In 20 snaps, you can figure out in sub-packages how to get him on the field in the best way possible.
Nate Newton says, you knew this before you brought him in. Why would you bring him in? Nate in Frisco, he writes this, don't take the chance. Don't even upset your locker room by bringing in a guy if you know this. So he's saying if you know that this guy has issues,
don't bring him in.
Don't even bring him in. Don't mess up what you got going on.
And he has the ties to Sirianni. So he's already well-versed in the coaching there. He has that connection with them. I don't know what
He would
connection
probably
would have
show a
had
lot
here
more
behind,
respect
besides,
to Sirianni than he's shown in Indy.
And
he
I
only
think
knows who here on the Cowboys, who he used to play
Well, Gilmore,
Hooker
Gilmore
and
and Hooker.
Gilmore and Hooker, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Sirianni might have brought an assistant or two with him from the Colts.
Right. I haven't looked at their coaching staff.
But I think
probably
I saw
there's
that.
connections
So,
elsewhere on the staff.
To me, it's like this. He wouldn't, like you're saying, I don't think we could really find a place for him right now quickly. I mean, it may end up helping us maybe in the future, but I think these next 2 or 3 games, I don't know if he would really find a spot. I mean, he would replace Evans. He would have to replace Evans. He's not going to replace Bell.
Right.
Right.
And like you said, if they come out with 3 tight ends, then we'll put him in there and see what he can do. But they're not doing that.
Get Micah off the line of scrimmage and put him at linebacker.
Yeah.
Because 3 tight ends, they're going to double team him. He's going to be ineffective. But at linebacker, at least he can run to the ball, which I still think they need to do more of.
Yeah, you've been pushing that for a while.
Yeah, they don't seem to be listening.
Nobody's listening.
I can't understand
You've been
why.
pushing that for a minute.
Well, you had an opportunity. You had Dan Quinn in the press conference today. This is your chance to.
Right, you had the defensive coordinator right
Actually,
there.
I had him afterwards. I just said, "Oh, it sounds like you've done this before."
Okay, Mickey, when we come back in a
I've got
moment.
something for you.
Okay, all right. I can't wait to hear what it is next here on Mick Shots.
The Medal of Honor is our country's highest military award for valor in combat. More than 40 million individuals have served in the armed forces since the Civil War. Fewer than 4,000 have received the Medal of Honor. The National Medal of Honor Museum will be a place to preserve these legacies and inspire America. It's being built right next door to the Dallas Cowboys in Texas. Help us honor our country's greatest heroes. Learn more and get involved at mohmuseum.org.
Cowboys football and Miller Lite. What a pairing. Can cracks at kickoff. Tailgates going way past postgame. Sunday night overtimes followed by Monday morning swagger. Brisket in the smoker. Miller Lite in the cooler. America's team playing America's greatest sport. Miller Lite, the only beer of the Dallas Cowboys. Dallas Cowboys football tastes like Miller time. Celebrate responsibly. 2023 Miller Brewing Company, Fort Worth, Texas.
I'm Dak Prescott, quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys.
And they snap it to Prescott, who looks right. It's not there. He escapes left. He'll run for a first down.
Just like football, when it comes to crypto, it's important to have a team you can trust. With blockchain.com, I know I'm in good hands. Since 2011, they've been trusted by millions around the world to buy, sell, and trade cryptocurrency.
Prescott's going to run this himself. Run it up the middle, and he scores.
Whether you're new to crypto or an active trader, they've got you covered. What are you waiting for? Get started at blockchain.com.
You know that sound anywhere. It's the crisp crunch of that first nacho chip. With its perfect cheese to sour cream ratio sitting atop a layer of delicious beans, it's a sip away from perfection. That's what we're looking for. Add a delicious, refreshing Pepsi and we've achieved absolute nacho nirvana. Because while you can pile those nachos high with every spicy, cheesy, savory topping, there's no topping a cool Pepsi finish. Nachos, better with Pepsi. That's what I like.
Back to Mick Shots.
Get a frame-worthy family holiday photo with Santa at the Star, presented by Monument Realty. Santa Claus will be at his Cowboys-themed cottage in the Star District through December 24th. Book your visit before December 9th and save $5 with code STAR5. Visit thestardistrict.com/Santa for more info.
She's a machine, y'all.
That's exactly
She's a
right.
machine.
Okay, Mickey has something he desperately wants to get to in this segment.
So Dan Quinn pointed this out. They were asking him about comparing, what Philadelphia did then and what you got to be careful of now. And he basically said one of the things that Philadelphia does well is third down. Mm-hmm. And he was pointing out that most teams, if they're 3rd and 4, 3rd and 5, it's an automatic pass. But they'll run the ball. They'll call a run. Or they'll do RPOs. Mm-hmm. And he said that when they went into that game, Philadelphia was converting 50% of their third downs. And guess what they did against the Cowboys? Converted 7 of 14, 50% of their third downs, and now throw in 2 of 2 on fourth downs. So that's 9 of 16 on third and fourth down that they converted. And he was saying that's one of the things that we've got to be prepared for and do a better job of getting them off the field and not leaving them in 4th and 1.
Well, that's where the tush push comes in. I'm sure that factored into, not of course, the fourth downs.
Right.
Several.
Both fourth downs. Yeah, and I think there was maybe 1 or 2 third downs that they converted like that. So I thought that was interesting that was one of the things that he was concentrating on how it's more difficult to defend them on third down, because he said most teams will pass, right? He says, but they don't, and that makes it more difficult when you come in with your change on defense.
That means that, go ahead, Savannah.
To add on to that, he said the Eagles are the best when it comes to the quarterback sneak, and that's because you have a running quarterback and a huge offensive line. So,
great offensive line.
Yes.
That'll
do it.
I think it's the first down that makes a difference.
Right.
First down.
Don't let them get 7.
Don't let them get it. Don't let them get in that position. That's a comfort zone for them. So first down is probably be extremely important.
Did you see the tush push when they had the backup quarterback in Philadelphia? Didn't quite get as much push there.
So the QB makes a difference.
When he went out,
Yeah, when Hurts went out of the game. And
so when Marcus Mariota went in and tried?
Yeah.
And he's not bad as far as a runner.
Right. It's that leg strength that Hurts has is a big part of it, too.
And I'll bring it up again. The San Francisco, I think it was the safety, did what I said they should do on that 3rd and 1.
Horse collar
him from behind. He just didn't get there
legal,
soon enough.
It's legal within the tackles.
Right.
You just got to get back there and
because he yanked him, he pulled him back.
So now, but they've seen that. So I'm sure they're flanked. They're going to have him flanked.
Somebody's
very well.
going to be ready for somebody coming over the top.
No, they're looking for him to come around the side.
Well, has anybody just sold out with 7 or 8 defensive linemen and force them to throw the ball?
No, I mean they can't just throw the ball after the snap.
It's like tug of war. You didn't put the little guys on the rope.
But, I mean, they have to, he have to make the audible. He has to make the audible.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, but
make them do something different.
Yeah.
Well, if they don't substitute prior to the play, then they can basically get up there, hurry up, and you don't have time.
We talked about that.
Yeah. Because I remember, when the Cowboys, they had basically on those 3rd and 1s or 4th and 1s or whatever, they had 5 to 6 DBs in there. And it's like, maybe I should call timeout and get all the Jonathan Hankins I got on the team.
Okay, so you're going to spend a timeout. All right. What's your
confidence play? Right? He's going down the hole.
What's your confidence level?
I'm trying to figure out how he's going to get out of there.
Depends how important that play is.
Yeah, really, dude.
Down the stretch.
The goal line is obviously more important than a 3rd or 4th.
That's what I meant, on the goal line.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And you probably don't have time to get them in there. Because...
And if you get too many big guys in there, then they're just gonna audible and spread the DB. You got 2 skilled guys in the backfield, so they'll just audible and they'll put him out wide, put him there, or put them both on one side, audible and throw some crap over there, and you got D lineman trying to cover A.J. Brown.
So what happens if he throws a bad pass? Because this is working 100%.
He can throw a bad pass all he wants. You're still going against a defensive lineman.
Well, I don't even worry about that. He might fumble the snap because he's in a hurry.
You're hoping now.
Because this ain't working.
I have seen this.
We'll keep hoping for that.
I think Kansas City did. It might have been Chris Jones or one of their other defensive linemen. They just hauled off and knocked the heck out of one of those offensive linemen.
Well, that was in front of them.
They didn't care if it was a false start or not. They just said, okay, you're going to do this to us. You're going to take a beating doing it. We're going to.
And it's legal in that regard. Yeah, you can't do it on
whoever
a
just hauled off and just drove them back into the backfield.
No, you can't hit the center, but in this one you can.
Yeah.
And Kelsey's going to be waiting on
Knock the hell out of those offensive linemen where they don't want to do it anymore.
I want some guys in there snorting.
You got to hit Kelsey first.
Yeah.
You got to hit Kelsey first. So you let me know how that turns out.
Yeah. Well, and he's so low to the ground.
Right.
Too.
And he's the man.
And he's like 350 pounds, isn't he, or something?
And he's smart. So.
He's not. No, he's not that big.
He's not big.
No. In fact, that's how he moves so well. He's more in the.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah.
295.
Yeah.
That's close enough.
Yeah. I mean, he's out in that open field, and that's a lot of what they do in the run game is they pull the center, and he gets out in front of them. He's so fun to watch.
Didn't Geno? He chose not to. Was it Geno or was it Browning? Was it Browning? He chose not to go up. They went outside. I saw one quarterback.
I think it was Browning.
He chose not to go in. He went this way. It was a black guy thing.
Or you can throw a quick pitch to somebody, right?
Yeah,
you can
he's right
pitch
there
it
next
to the
to
tight
him.
end.
Philly ran a sweep to Swift for a touchdown off that play.
Right.
So he lines up just to his right when he snaps the ball. He kind of just hands it to him.
Yeah.
And he goes out the back door, and that's what they did. They ran for a touchdown the week before they played us.
So whoever's lining up on the edge, they got to respect the edge.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you got to.
Yeah, but what? So what? You can't stop this. Make them do something else.
Yeah, it was like 10 yards out, so they ran for a touchdown.
Yeah. Okay. But on the goal line.
You kind of have to stop.
Yeah. I'd make him. Who knows? He might get in a hurry and fumble the snap or throw a bad
first
hand
down
up.
is important.
Right.
First down is important. You don't have to worry about all that other stuff.
You can't let them get into a 3rd and 2 or 4th and 1.
But they seem to always do.
Right.
How does that happen?
By design. That's why when you have a running quarterback, that's easy to do, because that's all he does, run a quarterback draw, and he gets you 7 yards easily.
Well, all I know is today before the show, Mickey and I were listening to Nick Sirianni's press conference a little bit. And he said at the very end, they asked him about the defense and how they played with San Francisco. And he said going into this Sunday's matchup, he's having the defense watch all of the tape, and he's watching the offensive tape. He said, I want to give them the offensive point of view. So he's going into it trying to pump up their defense as far as what they do offensively.
No, their defense can't stop us. I know that much.
Well, right now, they have converted 47.9% of their third downs and 73.7% of their fourth downs, 14 of 19. So it doesn't say how many of those are like 1-yard runs.
Yeah. How do we counter that with our offense, right?
Score points.
Score points.
Got to score.
Mm-hmm.
And
so
they
haven't showed that they can stop our offense.
And they nearly scored 32 points
That's right.
in that game.
So I to me,
we should have got a pool report
we should
on that.
We should get out. We got to get out fast.
Yes,
we got to get out fast and stay in front.
Because if you look at what San Francisco did, they held Hurts to like 20 yards rushing on, I want to say, 7 carries.
It was 7 for 20. Yep.
So they
and they left their secondary exposed, and they said, "Look, you guys are going to have to handle their wide receivers," and they did pretty well.
Yeah,
I think he had close to 300 yards passing, but
298.
It wasn't as effective as, like, say, Dak's 298.
Right.
Because that was all coming while they were trying to catch up.
I mean, held them to 19 points. So
well,
you think that was the fewest they scored all year?
I believe it was.
And the Eagles,
good secondary in San Francisco.
But the Eagles' offense has not been clicking like it did last year. I mean, even though Hurts is in the MVP conversation and so forth, it has not been clicking at the same rate as what it was last year. And a lot of that probably has to do with the injury that Hurts is dealing with.
So
he's not running the ball as much.
That mighty Jets defense held them to 14 points. And then they scored 31, 38, 21. The Chiefs held them to 21, 37, and then just 19. Yeah.
But they were able to pull out a lot of those games. They were able to win those games even though the offense wasn't that effective.
Right.
And that's why Hurts is in the MVP category, is because he's able to win those games Not by himself, but he was definitely the catalyst.
He's in the MVP conversation because of the tush push. He's got 12 rushing touchdowns. Yeah, I think he's got 19 passing touchdowns. He's got 12 rushing touchdowns. It gets him up to 31.
It's not just the tush push.
I know.
You know, the amazing thing is in both games against the Commanders, Washington scored 31 points in each game. 31.
Yeah.
They say Philadelphia always has a hard time with Washington.
No, they got a hard time with us.
Well,
they can't cover our wide receivers.
You expect them to have a hard time with the Cowboys.
They can't cover anyone's wide receivers. That's why they brought in Byard. And he still hadn't improved.
And Roby, too.
Yeah, it hadn't improved much for them. So,
no, I've seen him get beat.
Yeah. So what you have, our formula is we need to keep rolling offensively, and the defense, they just have to play off of us.
Just hang in there.
I'm not happy with it, but they have to play off of our offense.
So Savannah and Mickey, they did their pre-show prep listening to Sirianni, the coach. Okay.
We weren't even invited.
I do my pre-show prep.
Cool.
Whoa, I texted you guys the Mike McCarthy news right before.
You did.
So true. So true.
That's how I found out about it.
I passed it out to my family. I passed it on the family WhatsApp.
Right.
Uh-oh, here we go.
Yep.
Great.
Yep. But I do my pre-show prep listening to the Whip in Philadelphia.
Was it entertaining?
I wouldn't say it was entertaining, but to get a feel for what's wrong with the Eagles, and they are not happy with what's going on with Darius Slay and James Bradbury in their secondary.
They can't cover anything.
Not happy. Oh, how they're playing.
How they're playing.
Oh.
Yeah.
Debo called him out and then came in and did what he said he was going to do.
Well, the Cowboys didn't have any problems thrown against them, right?
Not at all.
And we'll obviously watch out for the injury report later to come to see what Philly's going to do, since they have Zach Cunningham out as well.
At linebacker.
At linebacker.
Who has been playing well.
Their tight end, Dallas Goedert.
Yep.
What's up with him?
Goddard's been out for a while. It was, which game was it where it was his
It was
elbow.
the Cowboy game.
It was a Cowboy game.
They're thinking maybe he might be back. I mean, he's eligible.
Yeah, I mean, it was obvious when he got hurt. Was it Bell that made the tackle?
I believe so.
Bell
I think
made
it
the
was.
tackle.
Yeah. And,
he stiff-armed him, and he grabbed his
right.
arm.
Yeah, it was just on a stiff arm. And
so let's remember, the first time around, Dak threw for 333 yards against them. And he completed 29 of 44 passes. So they threw on him. Problem was
at their place.
The fourth down play got stopped 6 inches, they said, and then the 2-point conversion
with the foot.
Well, I got to sneeze, so it's about time for us.
Get the
Lysol. Yeah, grab it.
All right.
Glass cleaner.
We will shout at you again tomorrow here on Mick Shots.
Go Cowboys.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.